Forget everything you know. You are about to journey beyond the realm of sanity, outside the borders of logic, and deep within the darkest corners of the human mind. You are about to enter a world where souls will be saved, lives will be lost, and one hapless man-child will immediately question his life choices.
What?
So get ready, 'cause shit's about to get real.
Garfield. Nearly 40 years ago, this overweight orange feline began livening up the newspaper funnies with a unique combination of deadpan humor and wacky scenarios. And if his success in merchandising, movies, and TV specials is anything to go by, his comic always stood high above the rest. But have you ever wondered how the Garfield comics are made? Do you think it's just Jim Davis putting a pencil on a piece of paper and drawing pictures with it? You don't know anything. And because you don't know anything, you and I are going to watch a little movie that came out a few years back that ventures to explore what really goes on behind the newsprint. Or something. Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield Gets Real. We open on the mighty sunrise, giving light and life to an entire world as it pops into existence. This all seems pretty... Oh, God! As I was saying... We eventually move into John's house as he's merrily fixing breakfast and...
Oh, hot, hot, hot!
I was about to say, tell me if anything about this scene looks wrong, but the movie just beat me to the punch there. Okay, that's not John Arbuckle. That is a puppet of John Arbuckle. It moves like a puppet, it's got dead plastic puppet eyes, the mouth moves like a poorly done ventriloquist act, it's ungodly! And it makes me all the more glad Garfield's mouth never moves.
Good morning. Good morning.
What? Garfield's mouth is moving? What?
Lighten up, Garfield.
And John can hear him? What? What? No, wait, hold up a second. Movie, what are you doing? I mean, on one level, Garfield being able to talk to John is jarring enough on its own for anybody familiar with the franchise. But on a technical note, animating lips also just takes a lot more work and budget, meaning the animators here are going to a lot of extra trouble to break from tradition. So, was it worth it?
Not as much as I hate you, Nermal.
You've wasted so much time!
So anyway, Garfield's family eventually leaves the bubble car? Bubble car? What's with the bubble cars? Well, turns out that Garfield actually lives in another world in this movie. A whimsical universe inhabited by all your favorite comic strip characters, like Dagwood, Grimmy, the superhero guy, and Green Cat, and whatever the hell that is. Forget Wreck-It Ralph. This is the pop culture crossover of the ages. They're driving to the comic studio, which is where all the newspaper comics, Garfield included, are produced. And yeah, most of Garfield's co-workers are from strips that don't actually exist in real life, and from what I can gather, they're better off that way.
Contrary to popular belief, nose blowing is an art.
Oh, that's such a good opening line.
The toot. The whoopee cushion. And my fave, the party blowout.
I love when he does that.
Why do cartoon bears always ruin everything? At least all the ones I seem to run into. Every time they're either pissing you off or trying to kill you. Anyway, soon the scripts for the comics are delivered by a lady with huge cleavage, which means it's time for the characters to get on set and meet their ugly director with equally huge cleavage.
Oh, prop boy. Yes, you called, sir? The script calls for a bone. Bone, let's see.
Wait, Prop Boy's trying to find the bone in his pants? Well, I don't know about you, but I'd say that's a pretty good place to start looking.
Go on.
So Prop Boy finds his bone, and now we get to see the actually 100% legitimate, for real way comic strips are made.
Action!
Odie and I enjoy each other's company.
Take it.
Whether it's going to an amusement park, whoopee,
Take it.
or just getting together for kicks.
Take it.
Well, that's pretty cool. Except wait. Earlier in the movie, we learned that Garfield is getting fed up with his day-to-day routine, and I can't say I blame him. And like every other Disney princess, longs for something more out of life.
Oh man, a change of scenery would be wonderful. I need a break.
A break from me?
This isn't about you, Arlene, it's about me.
Do you ever notice it's always about you?
Well, he can hardly help that. That's just the way his character's written. Unless it's not. I mean, yes, of course, he's self-centered in the comic, but from what Arlene says, I take it he's also like that outside the comic. So, do the characters' actual personalities dictate the way the scripts are written? Or do the scripts control the characters? What if whoever writes these scripts is actually a godlike force controlling the daily lives of cartoon characters who are themselves unwitting pawns in a cosmic scheme of manipulation?
Overthinking it!
Okay, moving on. We then get to see how the comics are scanned and delivered to the real world, which also looks like a cartoon, as the newspaper finds its way to the home of Terrifying Man, his terrifying wife, and their terrifying kids. Wait... Are they watching the Reef? They are! They're watching the Reef! What, are they being punished for something? Meanwhile, Odie is futzing around backstage looking for a safe place to hide his bone. I already made that joke. When he comes across a conspicuous patch covering up a small hole in reality, like you usually find in backstage places.
Everybody stay away from the patch in the screen, or you'll end up in the real world, with no way back, like Odie's bone.
The real world. That's the change I need.
You did hear the part about no way back, right, Garfield? That was a key piece of exposition, after all, so I hope you were paying attention, because he's not going to repeat himself. But apparently that part's not important, because he goes and does the hop anyway.
Garfield!
Garfield?
Garfield!
Garfield?
Whoa, I'm in the real world. Look, I'm a real cat.
If by real cat you mean quadrupedal, no longer cell-shaded, and slightly scarier, then yeah, you're real enough. Oh, and you do this. Yep, real.
Eli, what just happened?
Oh, come on, John. He already said. You just weren't paying attention to the exposition. Still, after having just seen what we've just seen, I think we can put the pieces together ourselves.
Everybody listen up.
All right, if you insist.
This screen separates the comic world from the real world. The comic world is pressurized, like an airplane. If you get sucked into the real world, there's no way back.
Special tape.
Are there any questions?
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things? The things?
Anyway, Odie jumps through the reality hole to get his bone back and ends up stuck in the real world with Garfield too. They take a moment to explore the new surroundings when... What the bitch? No, stop the movie, stop it! Ugh. Alright, serious question. Why is everything in this movie hideous to look at? I don't even think it's a question of animation budget. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is better technology than the Balto 2 totem pole, and yet that looks like a cuddly teddy bear compared to this monster, or that one, or the ones that are yet to come because we're only just approaching the halfway mark. I'm legitimately scared to think what kind of mind could conceive of some of these designs.
Hey, Director, I just finished rigging up the Chihuahuas.
Oh, alright, let me see him. Oh, Lord. Are you sure you don't want them?
They represent the faces that I see when I close my eyes.
So while Odie is running from Boob Lady and her demon dogs, Garfield runs into another cat from the real world. Because of course, real world cats have buck teeth.
I'm Garfield the cat. You know, from the comic strip.
Because of course, real world alley cats read the newspaper.
Right. And your dog friend there must be Odie.
Oh, I guess they do. So this is Shecky, and this is still going on. Oh, can we get another shot of Boob Lady barreling toward us again? Because that's just what I needed today. Luckily, however, Garfield takes the matter into his own hands.
There's more than one way to skin a dog.
So after he leaves Boob Lady to die, Shecky takes the cartoon co-stars to meet his buddies from the alley. I only remember her name because she's Australian, so 3 guesses what it is.
And this is Sheila.
Cheers, lads.
I already hate you.
I'd want her covering my back in any cat fight.
That's not helping. Then Shecky starts making noise to get the city dwellers to throw food at them, and even though Garfield said earlier that humans can't hear the animals talk in this world, this scene really makes it seem otherwise.
Thank you. For my first number...
Hey! Be quiet! We're trying to sleep up here!
Like that guy. Am I wrong, or does that sound more like a reaction to a noisy neighbor than a noisy cat? Also, listen closely to the people yelling during this show tune.
You only got me when you got me. The only...
That guy sounds like he's having his own problems right about now. So after the people throw their untouched hot dogs and barely eaten cheeseburgers at them, what a waste. Garfield and Odie are unfortunately left with nothing more than table scraps. They then spend the night in the abandoned Muncie Hotel. That's right, they're in Muncie, Indiana. As in, not New York. Not even close. Anywho, the next day they're back in the park when... Oh, seriously? This again? You know, because the joke had so much untapped potential the first time. Let's do it again! Why not? Oh, and get a load of this gag.
The real world, where stuff like this happens.
While that's going on, Garfield discovers to his horror that by vanishing from the comic world, he's caused his strip to get the axe, and the publisher is holding a contest to find a character to replace him. Now, frankly, I'd say this is the perfect setup for Garfield minus Garfield, but the budding cartoonists of Muncie have other ideas. Other, very colorful ideas.
Next!
Okay. Just to review, the goal here is to submit an idea for a comic strip. What that means, since we are in the real world, whimsical studio be damned, is you draw a picture of a character in a funny situation. Like this. So, how does that get interpreted as dressing like a flower and prancing around with your scary-ass face and not saying or doing anything else? And maybe you're thinking, oh, well, that's the joke. It's random. But is it? Because it's never acknowledged to be any weirder than the other air-quote submissions we see. And besides, it's not like the rest of the movie makes a lick of sense in comparison. So it really seems like we should be expecting this. That Flower Girl is a perfectly reasonable thing for us to see in this context. And if that is the case... then you're on acid. So after that bit of nothing, Garfield tries to rescue our sanity by convincing the board of directors that he's the real deal. And again, tell me these people are unaware that cat is talking to them.
See the resemblance?
Hey, they do kind of look like them.
And to leave no doubt in your mind, we will now perform a classic gag from our comic strip. You know, folks, a day without kicking Odie off the table is like a day without sunshine.
A cat just kicked the dog off the table.
Oh, the horror! How violent!
But that is a classic Garfield and Odie gag, so shouldn't that be proving his point? Unfortunately not, as it appears our heroes are thwarted by cartoon censorship. This opens the door for...
Sid, Bobby, Eric, Mike here.
Huh?
I have with me today a licensing phenomenon, destined to take the publishing biz by storm. Introducing Hale and Hardy!
Oh my.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. In many ways.
These boys are positive, appealing, and can generate massive licensing income for your newspaper. Imagine dieting with Hale and Hearty Mineral Water. Imagine exercising with
Hale and Hardy Leotards.
And
Hale and Hardy Dumbbells.
And why stop there when you can attach the Hale and Hardy name to every other part of the world of athletics? For example, Hale and Hardy doping kits, Hale and Hardy rehab clinics, and for the really hardcore, Hale and Hardy murder trials. Soon your kids will be skipping every leg day and court hearing their little hearts can handle before those hearts give out from all the excess testosterone.
No, don't do it. That's me.
Hold on a minute. Garfield was the best comic strip we ever had. I'm gonna give him one last chance.
Say, you can't be serious. You don't honestly believe that cat and that dog are really Garfield and Odie.
At my age, nothing surprises me.
Well, that explains this entire movie.
Humor me. The Garfield strip has one more day to make it back.
So if you're pondering how that works, well, so is Garfield. Because apparently getting back into a newspaper isn't as easy as getting back into a newspaper. And after trying everything he can think of, and I do mean everything, Garfield and Odie are left in the lurch, in what's surprisingly kind of a moving scene.
I need some help here. I don't even know if you're watching this paper.
Wait!
Yes.
So Garfield has a change of heart, and he and the Toons back home hatch an idea to build a contraption that'll cross the reality hole and rescue our heroes. In the meantime, Garfield and Odie go back to the hotel to wait out the night, but little do they realize they're being followed by what appear to be cardboard standees of the Royd brothers, who are out to sabotage their plan and take over the funny pages.
For once you are right, kitty cat. Tomorrow will be a better day. For us.
Oh hey, they sound just like that one guy you've probably heard before. Please tell me one of them's gonna say "Hasta la vista, baby." That might almost make this worthwhile. But of course, that's the one obvious joke the movie refuses to make, as the Arnolds leave Garfield, Odie, and Shecky, who happen to be there, in a sticky situation which quickly escalates. Fortunately, though, the Toons are able to finish their machine just in the nick of time.
I need 3 volunteers. I'm 1.
I'm 2.
I'm 3.
I'm 3. This calls for a strong back, Arlene.
Feminism.
Let's go, men.
So the machine works, and the 3 rescuers materialize in the real world, just outside the hotel.
Step aside. This is a job for a big bear. Wow, that's definitely not a comic door.
No, but it is a really old door. A really old wooden door. A really old wooden door that's on fire. And you're a friggin' bear, so why didn't that work? Whatever. They get in through the crawl space. Garfield and friends somehow haven't died yet, and they manage to free them. But as the building begins to crumble around them, what follows is an epic escape sequence full of nail-biting action, death-defying stunts, and a bunch of other crap that really doesn't matter enough to detail. Basically, the Naked Out. Our heroes return home triumphant, and with that, all loose ends are neatly tied up. The Royd brothers have been cast out into the streets, again, totally unethical. And Garfield and Odie are back in the comic world where they belong. And so is Shecky, because he was also in the hotel rescue, remember? And the strays back home take to the fact that they'll never see their friend alive again pretty well.
Will you look at that? Shecky finally made it big in entertainment.
Ah, so that's the story of how Shecky was first introduced to the Garfield comics and eventually became one of the strip's most iconic and beloved characters. Because you totally recognized him this whole time, right? Of course you did. Yep. Good old Shecky. The cartoon characters then have a dance party, because that's what you do in these movies, and they all live happily ever after. Wait, why are you holding on the door? No. Motherfucker! And that was Garfield Gets Real. What was Garfield Gets Real? Aside from the whole thing just looking like Satan made a movie with Source filmmaker, the plot goes everywhere and nowhere, the jokes are horrendously unfunny, and there are so many moments where I even forget that this is a Garfield movie because I'm too busy trying to figure out what the hell I'm looking at. Basically, the whole thing's a mess. And if Jim Davis ever saw it, I highly doubt he would ever approve.
You lie! You lie!
Jim Davis wrote this?
Every time I think I've hit bottom, someone hands me a shovel.
Jim Davis wrote this! And bizarre as that may seem, actually, yeah, a bunch of Garfield's lines do sound like his classic one-liners. And there is one nice moment in the story. Just the one. As for everything else, all I can say is clearly something went wrong somewhere, because the vast majority of this movie does not feel like Garfield at all. Still, I guess if there's a bright side to any of this, it's that a mistake this monumental would never happen again.
There's 2 more!
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe, because I'll be back in a couple months or whenever I get a chance to make another one. Till then, bye and thanks for watching.
They made 2 more.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it.
Somebody wants you, somebody needs you, someone is searching for your heart alone. Someone is dreaming, waiting and watching, someone is coming to take you home.
Okay. By the way, I'm really proud of myself for not bursting into raucous laughter.
Raucous laughter sounds like a terrible band.
Sounds like the opening act for...
A terrible band.
Yes! That's their name, a terrible band.
Yeah.
Also, it's their... This is still recording.